And hello. Welcome to the ASPNET Community Stand-Up. I'm John Galloway, and I'm welcoming back Javier, Calvarro Nelson, and Maria Naggaga. Maria, I don't think we've been on before. Is that correct? I'm not sure. Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Welcome. Yay. So today we're going to be talking about SPA templates, which is really exciting. Last week, Daniel Roth was on, and he showed off a bunch of stuff that's coming up in ASP.NET Core with the .NET 6 wave. And one thing he mentioned briefly was the SPA templates, and so we thought we would dig in more deeply with you folks. So very exciting. I'm going to start, as I always do, with the community link. So we'll jump right over to that. And I'm pasting those links over in the comments. And we have a raid coming in on Twitch. So welcome to the raiders. This is all very exciting. I'm also showing the banner so everyone can get to the links. All right, let's jump right in. James Newton King, always tweeting up a lot of cool stuff lately. So one thing he mentioned was that the API browser is now, there's some cool new stuff for the namespaces. Whoa, I'm getting a delay. So when I zoomed, it went very big. So what that means is, here's the API browser, and going into the different namespaces, there are both descriptions for what the namespace is, and then also there's docs, links on all of them about how to use them. So that's really, I think that's very helpful. It's always frustrating when I find the kind of documents that are technically accurate but not at all informative. And so this is really nice. So very happy to see that. Okay. Here's a post from Saurabh about what's new in .NET Monitor. Saurabh has been on and shown off .NET Monitor before. A really useful process for exploring diagnostic information, which is especially one of the areas I've been looking at it more recently is with microservice applications. When you're trying to diagnose things, this can be really useful. So information on updates for this to include egress providers, custom metrics, security and hardening, all kinds of good stuff. So exciting to see this continue to progress. All right. Let me double check. Somebody said the sound was not great. Okay, I'm on my good mic, so. All right, here is David Fowler tweeted this. You'll notice that this had 1.8K responses on this. So this generated a lot of response. This is a great time to be talking about this. Well, you know, I'm interested in what people's thoughts are here. But the idea here of a very kind of lightweight pattern, very simple, like if you are just either getting started or you're doing something like a microservice, something very tiny to be able to do something in just a few lines of code can be really useful. Okay, so I am hearing on this, let me see, Javier, I think you don't have headphones on. You might need to get those because they're saying we're getting some echo coming through. So anyhow, a lot of conversation here. Nothing's going away. This is just a look at a simple pattern that to be able to add on if you do want it. But so interested here in your thoughts on this. Okay, this is a fun one. So I've shared several Blazor posts in the past from David, and here he's talking about chip 8 emulation with C# and Blazor. So that is pretty neat. He talks about how he's doing that. You know, this can be very interesting because it's a lot of these chip emulators is very low level code, and to be able to do this sort of stuff in Blazor is pretty neat. So he shares the repo, and what's also kind of fun is he links over, let me see, I clicked on the wrong link. He links over in here to the actual deployed version of the emulator. And, you know, fun, I was playing with this, like, so say, for instance, I think there's, tank. Let's load up tank. Some of these were a bit slow to load. There it is. There's my tank. And there was Pong, for instance. Pong is more lightweight, but so if you want to play Pong in your browser, there you go. That's pretty neat. Okay. So this is a beginning of a series from Eric King talking about advanced Blazor state management using Fluxor. And Fluxor is based on the React patterns, so using React Flux. What I like about this is he talks about starting with, you know, what are we even talking about with state management and the need to manage component state throughout more complex Blazor applications. And then he talks about there's Carl Franklin talking about, you know, kind of more a simple application state pattern and sharing application state using an app state service. And then he talks about, you know, what React and Flux do and the reason for them. And there's a whole kind of, this is a more sophisticated state management pattern. It's a unidirectional flow, as everything in React is very unidirectional. So something, an action changes a store, and the store then affects the view, and it always kind of goes in that direction. And so then there's the Fluxor pattern, which is an implementation for that. And then he goes through and kind of kicks off what is going to be going on through the rest of the series. So I'm interested to see where that goes. All right. Niels, I saw Niels in the chat earlier. Once again, a nice post from Niels. This is about capturing emails during development with SMTP for dev. I've definitely done this before, where I'm creating an application that needs to send off some sort of emails. And so this is a neat tool. This is a global tool that you can install. And instead of sending out a bunch of emails, this actually can receive those emails, and then you can see them. And what I thought looked kind of neat here, this is an actual, you get this cool looking dashboard. So you can just browse through. And so if you're sending out test emails in your application or in development, pretty neat to be able to go through and not fill your email inbox with that. So here he shows going through and sending an email, and then this is what the pattern looks like. And then also you can set this up and test the form using Selenium. So pretty cool. I've been generating emails recently, and so this is something that I'm interested in personally. Okay, one other neat one here. This is from Derek, and we had some recent things during last month looking at microservices, and there was a kind of Q&A thing at the end of the month where Nish answered some questions, and one of those was, do microservices require containers, Docker, and Kubernetes? And I like this. Derek goes into a little more depth on this and talking about what is the requirement and why you often see microservices using containers. But the fundamental thing that he calls out here is that it's a logical versus a physical separation. So you don't require containers for that logical separation. He goes through and explains how those could all be running in the same thing. Obviously, there are a lot of good reasons for the physical separation, and it does force that logical separation. If things are physically separated, they have to be logically separated as well. But it's a nice kind of discussion of that. And my last link to share. So Jamshed talking about end-of-life support for .NET Framework 4.5.2, 4.6, and 4.6.1. So the important thing to read here, not freak out, but to update to .NET Framework 4.6.2 or later. And then discussion in here about the reason behind this, the deprecation of the SHA-1 algorithm. And so there's more in-depth discussion there, but just if you're running applications on .NET Framework, then you need to get on .NET 4.6.2 in the next year. And that is all my community links, and I'm ready to hear about some cool SPA update stuff. So what do you got for us? Oh, Maria,
we cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Just in case.
I can hear you all now.
Yeah.
I put myself on mute because there was construction happening in my neighborhood, and I forgot to unmute. Classic online experience.
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it, and it was me this time. So thank you for having us, John. My name is Maria Naggaga. I am a PM in the developer division at Microsoft, and I work on various parts of ASP.NET as well as .NET Interactive. And I just realized today, I think I've been on a community call every week for the past 3 weeks. So I'm becoming a regular here. So thank you all for coming. Before I get started, give Javier time to introduce himself as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Javier. You've seen me in the past here. I'm a software engineer in the ASPNET core team, and I work on Blazor, SPA, and many other things across ASPNET core.
Absolutely. So John, last week you said that Dan gave you a snippet into what we're doing. So some people on the call might have been there, but not call, who are watching the stream, might have been there last week. But just to set the context again, what we're doing is that we're changing the way SPA templates work in .NET 6. And what that means is that we want to create more patterns that are familiar that people do in other frameworks with SPA. So currently in our current solution, we have both of these, both our front ends, JavaScript front ends, and our .NET backends coupled into one solution. So we wanted to work towards a way where we were actually separating those into 2 different project files and changing the way we did Proxy. And we'll have samples of this going forward. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Javier, that I might have missed in the Proxy work?
Yeah, so I think you pretty much described everything. I would go a bit more on detail on the proxy work, and essentially ASP.NET used to ship its own proxy to the native CLI. So ASP.NET Core would proxy to Angular and React CLIs, and that was something unique about the way ASP.NET tackled this problem, and it was getting in the way of some of the experience that Angular and React shaped. So we saw that it was problematic and it was going to be a long tail of bugs to fix. So we decided to flip the approach and make it more standard in the way it works with other backend frameworks.
Okay, Maria, we're getting feedback that your mic is kind of quiet. So if you can,
let me try. Is that better? I'm leaning in a bit closer to
yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
Sorry, I hope it's not too uncomfortable. But.
No, it's absolutely fine. Anything for our community. So some of the things that this will bring, right, with the new proxy work is that, first of all, it will provide an opportunity for us to update the Angular and React templates that we currently have today more frequently, right, which is huge. I think I've personally seen a lot of issues in our repos today saying, hey, when are you going to get to Angular 11? And I think right now, I have no idea, but I think we're in a pretty older version of Angular, but allowing for us to update Angular and React more frequently. And this will also align with the sparse CLIs that they have today. The big question here is like, why are we doing this experience today? Why are we as a .NET team taking this initiative? One of the things we wanted to provide was an opportunity for people to bring their own SPA experiences with them. Currently, everything is shipped within the box, and we get a lot of feedback right now on what if I want Vue or what if I want Svelte? And the JavaScript SPA framework community continues to grow, and we want the community to be able to continue to grow with it. It also allows us to provide opportunities where we can leverage investments in tooling from the JavaScript community as well, like what they're doing with Webpack and what they're doing with their CLI. So being more in line with them. Have I missed anything? Or before I go forward, is there anything that the community has question-wise?
Let me see. So no specific questions on that. People are saying hi from all over the world, which is exciting. So that's cool. People, there's, like we're figuring out the audio. So, but look at there. This is neat. To make sure I understand everything and talk it through. So the way we did things before was kind of an ASPNET focused way where like ASPNET was the center of the universe. And then the other kind of SPA frameworks were kind of shoehorned in a bit. And so part of the problem with this is that those front-end frameworks iterate very rapidly. And so it took more work for us to integrate those in. Whereas, and also we lose out on some of the way that, I don't know, the happy path for those frameworks as far as how things are proxied. So the new system has those CLIs as kind of the front end proxying back to ASP.NET.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So to put in different words, ASP.NET Core used to start the SPA proxy, whether it was the Angular CLI proxy or the Create React App proxy, and ASP.NET Core would receive all the requests and send the ones that it thought were for the SPA to the actual proxy and then send those back. And the problem was that worked, but whenever you update it or things got updated within Angular or React, there might be integration issues that we were not able to catch. So at that point, people would complain that, hey, I updated my Angular version and now my app is hanging and so on. So we wanted to essentially remove all those types of problems by switching the approach and doing what the rest of the world does, which is start the CLI and proxy requests from the front end to the back end. And in that way, we are the same as everybody else in the world, and people can leverage all the investments that the JavaScript community does on the Webpack proxying middleware and so on.
Okay. Already have a few questions coming in. One is asking if this affects the server rendering.
So
there's a server rendering story there.
Yeah, so we don't have a server rendering story, I think, since 2.1, because we used to have something called node services that we, again, took away because it was problematic for us to keep up to date and maintain.
Okay. I had a question on Svelte. Is there will there be a Svelte template, or does this affect it? Maybe if the new SPA system.
So there won't be a Svelte template that is built into the .NET SDK. So one of the things that we're working towards is actually removing the SPA templates out of the .NET SDK for the .NET 6 timeframe in November. But what this allows people to do is to bring Svelte in as they would like. So it becomes more on you to use the SPA framework of your choice to build, right?
Yeah. Yep. This is I'm just excited. Like last year, I went through and worked through the Tour of Heroes demos for Angular, and then I did it with React, and then I went through with Blazor, and it felt very kind of like integrating in with ASP.NET Core. There was a lot of like, here's what the docs say to do. Now I have to translate that to ASP.NET. So this is feeling like this is going to integrate in with the way that those are already expecting to work.
It's more like mixing and matching. Like when you go to a store and you can like mix things up, this is exactly what we want you to do, right? So you can still take a dependency on us for all the things we do really well on the back end, right?
Okay.
But for your client app, if Svelte is something that you're hearing about in the community, like you can go use it. If something is Vue, you can go use it. And if you start create your own templates around this, maybe it's something that you can bring into the community template, the community repo template that we're building right now, where people can actually contribute different templates as well.
Okay, that's exciting. Okay, two more real quick questions, and then I'll let you go deeper into this. One is, does this have any impact on Blazor WebAssembly, or is this JavaScript framework specific? I'm assuming this is just, it's going to apply to JavaScript. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then one other one here is, would this work with Project Tie? Doesn't seem like, it seems like it's kind of a separate sort of thing. Like I wouldn't fight with it, but
yeah, it's separate.
Okay. All right. So cool. This sounds great. I'm sold.
All right. So let's show you what this looks like.
Okay. Should I share Javier's screen then?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
Okay, awesome. So let me explain to you all what we have here. So I created an Angular app template and a React app template with our new bits that are going to be shipping on Preview 4. And at first sight, you don't see many things different. So you still have your client app folder here and so on. If you open it, it has your Angular files and so on. And if we look at Startup, is where we see our first differences. So if we remember 5.0, there used to be things here like services as SPA files and as SPA static files and so on. And here we would also have things like app use SPA static files. And now all those things are gone, because the way we think about SPAs today is that for what it matters for ASP.NET Core, they are just files on disk. And what that means is that they work like any other SPA, like it might be Blazor, where the only point the only thing that the server needs to do is proxy any request that doesn't know to serve the index.html so that client routes can work. So that's what's happening here. Actually at build time, we don't even serve the SPA from this application. The SPA is only served as static files when the app is published. What happens at runtime, what happens during development, is that we will launch the SPA proxy and we will launch ASP.NET Core, and we will proxy requests from the SPA proxy into the ASP.NET Core app.
Javier, sorry, quick interruption. Someone's asking if you can zoom in just a little bit more.
I did warn you. People like giant font size on this. Yep. That's good. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Let me do 225. Otherwise, I'm gonna be annoyed. Great. Is this good?
Yeah, I think that works.
Awesome. So yeah, so the main point here is that there's no runtime code for serving just SPA, just fallback to file, which will take care of handling client-side routes and serving the index.html. So let me, for example, run the React app real quick, hopefully, I did a build, but apparently it doesn't want. It started another build from VS. Hopefully it will be fast.
All right. So this is cool. This is another one of those areas where endpoints seem to be paying off. It's I don't know, just the whole endpoint routing thing has really been useful.
Definitely. So okay, so that's Visual Studio complaining. Let me open a window here. So what's happening here is that ASPNET Core is going to launch the proxy so that you take that single gesture F5 experience that you're used to, but now the proxy is front and center. So we're gonna give this some time because we actually see now the SPA server starting up, and it's not ready yet. Actually, I made a mistake starting the React one because it takes a bit, and I imagine that being on a call doesn't help. Okay, so it's starting up here. I can also zoom on this one so that we can see. And we're gonna go through HTTPS localhost 5002, which is where we decided to put the SPA proxy. So another point is that we've changed the approach, but things like HTTPS and so on, we still expect them to work in the way they work in any other ASPNET Core app. And we've done the work to create scripts that we actually put on your template so that you can have the same experience. So here's the React app. And one of the things that it might not be obvious is that it came up much faster than when you are navigating with the old version, with our proxy, because this is one of the places where using the tooling from the JavaScript community pays off, because they invest a lot in making it fast and making it snappy. And you can see that like everything works as you would expect. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, that's it for the React template. And then if we look at what we do, and in this case, I'm going to switch to the Angular template, is we've added a bunch of scripts, and maybe let me try this. Let me open Magnifier.
So while you're showing that, there's a question if that was an ASP.NET MVC app. I think the idea it's an ASP.NET, it's may not have any, but you can put Razor pages in, right?
Yeah.
So, that is MVC. I do see.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not very good with Magnifier, so I guess that's not going to work. So yeah. So essentially, we've added a couple of files to your project template that are created based on the best guidance from Angular and React and the JavaScript community. In the case of Angular, we have one script to set up HTTPS that you can essentially forget about it. You just need to make sure that if you are upgrading from the old approach, that you set up in your package.json. So if you try to update, I would recommend that you create a new template and you apply the changes from package.json and from the extra files that you have onto the template. And at that point, you don't have to understand those files. You don't have to really do anything. We will provide some steps for you to move from the old version to the new version, and it can be done in like, I'm gonna say 15 minutes, 30 minutes. That's more or less what it took Dan and me when he showed Vue. He pinged me like, hey, can you do Vue for me? And we did that, looking at the Vue documentation in 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's really the power of it, that it brings a lot of simplicity into the approach. And then the other thing that we added is a proxy config file. And this essentially tells the SPA CLI what routes does it have to send back to the server. And this is something that all CLIs use the same Webpack, the proxy middleware behind the scenes. They have a slight different way of configuring it, but in the end, this is all pretty standard. So you again benefit from all the advantages that that tooling offers you, and not only the investment that they've done, but all the documentation and all the how-tos and guides on how to solve more complex scenarios. And yeah, the main changes are those, and then in our package.json, we've set up scripts for you so that you can do ng-serve and so on, and or npm start, and everything works. So yeah.
We just had the question there I see on the screen, but the proxy config mentions 5001, but you use 5002, and that's the ng-serve is on 5002, right?
Yeah, so the SPA proxy is on 5002, and what this proxy config is saying is, hey, for anything that goes to like whether forecast or configuration or well done, identity, connect, yada yada, just send everything to HTTPS localhost 5001. So everything is HTTPS through and through. And
okay.
Yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to show is that, of course, let me actually just go to the command line and do .NET watch run. This is going to also work from the command line and from everywhere where you want to develop in the same way that you're used to.
So then the general flow, like if I'm doing a decent amount of front end, I'm going to want to have, like, say, the React or Angular CLI open also. So I would just open two tabs, one for .NET and one for...
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what we want to enable. And you can do that manually. So if you start the proxy manually and we detect that the proxy is up, we're not going to try and start a new one.
Ah, okay.
So you could technically like be fancy and do like this.
Yeah.
And then just have your proxy here and your CLI here. Yeah, and the Angular one is going to take a bit to start, but you can see that is, again, just starting up the CLI with everything configured to use your server. So hopefully this doesn't take forever, because I wanted to show you the other piece, which is everything that worked with the old approach works with the new one. So if you had auth in the old template, it also works in the new template. Angular apparently takes more time than React to start. I'm now very glad that I published all the applications. So yeah, you can see now that it's creating the proxy, and hopefully we can hit it now. It's thinking. No, too soon. Okay. In the meantime, well, oh, okay. Now it must be running.
Now it's ready.
Well, now the proxy is ready, but it's waiting for Angular, I think, to compile. Well, let that run for a while, and I want to show you the other thing, which is when we publish, and hopefully I've published this ahead of time because I know that this needs to do Webpack and all that bundling, and it takes minutes. So I want to open the React app, and I don't know if I can zoom in here. Let's try this out again. But what I want to show is that in the end, when your publish app just has your React files on disk inside the www root folder, and that's it. It's just files on disk.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So as far as your publish, then you can do all your standard, however you were publishing. You would just, it's an ASP.NET Core application with static files and www root.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, like now Angular has started and we can do logging. hopefully it doesn't take forever.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, then if I wanted, like people have asked about a like a view template or something else, or say there's a new whatever, I've got my own favorite front end template, I can follow this same pattern.
Exactly.
Integrated in. Okay.
Exactly. You can copy the script that we give you and put it on your template, and then just set up the proxy in the way that the docs, set up the proxy and HTTPS in the way the docs for your favorite do. Like share the view example and doing it for Svelte, it might be also like just like 15 or 30 minutes. The main thing is, as long as the CLI for the given front-end framework supports HTTPS and using our cert, that's almost all we need to set it up. So yeah, and they all use in the end the same underlying Webpack dev proxy. So it's more a matter of sometimes they don't expose it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So this is the new SPAS. It's coming out on Preview 4. So give it a try and tell us what you think.
So that was my next question. Is that's when do we get to play with it? So that this will be part of Preview 4.
Yeah. So this is going to be in Preview 4, and we're working on updating the Angular and React templates to the latest versions in Preview 5. We'll hopefully land that on Preview 5.
Okay. And then you, a few other questions on that. One is, if people have, comments, concerns, whatever, questions, what is the best way? Should they wait for Preview 4 to come out and then, interact on, like, create GitHub issues, or how would you like to interact with the community on this?
So the way I think forward is filing issues is the best way that the team can keep track of things. And I almost 100% guarantee you that I will be seeing the issue and answering the issue, because I have a talk for answering issues.
Okay. Let me see. Oh, we had a question from community. Is there a performance overhead?
Yeah, so there should be no performance difference. In fact, it's probably the performance is probably much better in development, because the proxy that Angular and Webpack ship with their CLIs is probably more optimized than the one that we put in the box, because it's the one that everyone uses and benefits from all the investments from the Angular and React and the JavaScript community at large.
Okay. All right. You mentioned also, Maria, I think you mentioned that the community will be able to help create templates or share templates for this as well.
Yes.
How is that going to work?
So what we're in the process of creating a separate repo where once we have removed the .NET template, the SPA templates out of the .NET Core SDK, we'll be moving them into in an open repo on GitHub. And that's where we will be encouraging the community to participate. That isn't currently available, but it's something that we're working towards. I think I don't have a time frame now, but before .NET 6, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting. I can't wait. Let me see. I'm trying. One other question is, whenever you're working with proxies or things, do you run into issues where you need to troubleshoot it? Understand, like, is it just kind of the standard Webpack dev proxy docs that I would look at, or how would I troubleshoot?
So you would go to the docs for Angular or React or the Webpack dev server proxy that you're using, and they also have ways to turn it on, like login to debug and so on, and different ways for you to see what's going on. So the ability for you to very finely control how your requests are being proxied to where and and with what headers, what content, and so on, is something that you can do with this Webpack Dev Server proxy that we don't offer you. So there will be cases where you need to troubleshoot things in the same way that there were cases where you would have to troubleshoot things with your own proxy. The difference is that now you have much more power and much more guidance available to you, and can leverage all the knowledge from the community.
Okay. All right. Gosh, I don't know. I think I'm. Is there anything else to look at? I think we may have covered it. I'm not seeing a lot more questions come in.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the questions as well.
Let's take this one because I think it's worth just kind of talking through. But one thing I love about these live streams, and we're out on all the platforms, we have people come by that are not part of the ASP.NET community or the .NET community or whatever, and they're like, hey, how does this fit in? So this is a good question. Why would I use ASP.NET over React? And I answered in the chat, but the idea is this is showing how to use both of them together. So the idea is ASP.NET Core is your backend web server and React is your front end. So you're using the React JavaScript libraries in the browser, and then you're using ASP.NET Core on the backend to serve things up. And that's like the example you showed there with the weather forecast. The weather information is coming from the server and it's being sent over to the browser.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes, I'm just looking, why would I use? Yeah, you can use both. Like, that's a big question. Like, it's also something that we've been working on, the minimal API stuff, which is the spicy tweet that you shared from David Fowler that had like 1,900, like something. Yeah, it was, I had to mute my Twitter for a minute because I also own that. And like the whole concept is you can use React, you can use Vue, you can use Svelte, you can use all these different front-end services and get all the richness that they provide. But I think on the back end, which I find that .NET has done really, really well, and let's say other frameworks haven't, is that because we started in the enterprise, we scale really, really fast, right? So you have the benefit of having a back-end service that just will grow with you because that's where we started. And with things like minimal APIs and the works that we've done with Spark, just makes it easier for people to take advantage of leveraging .NET in their backend. That's what I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, one thing I always like to share with this is like there's the benchmarks, the Tech Empower benchmarks, and I'll just share my screen real quick. But this Tech Empower is a community benchmark, and ASP.NET Core is usually in the top, I don't know, say 10 of these or whatever. Whereas Node and other JavaScript frameworks are usually kind of farther down. So the latest that we had showed, I think if we go to, I don't know, like our latest from the Tech Empower benchmarks is about, well, I don't know, significantly faster, right? So from Tech Empower around 27 million requests per second for ASP.NET Core versus 0.66 million requests per second for Node.js. So that is significant, and that means you're either a faster web server or you're saving money because you're not having to use a bunch of as many resources. Right? So, yeah, cool. Let me see. So yeah, there's a lot of discussion. Damien is asking about BFF, which is back end for front end.
Yeah,
have you seen that?
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with this at all.
So this is a very security specific question. So the way our authentication system works today is that we use an OAuth flow called code plus Pixie, and you essentially end up with an access token in the browser. And there is now a movement or a trend to, due to the changes that are coming from cookies, avoid all that together and essentially secure your SPA with a single same site HTTP only cookie. And I mean, in that sense, what happens is the server does all the dance for authenticating the user, like it would do for a normal web application. And at the end of that authentication, it sets up that cookie, and the token never appears in the browser, essentially. So to think about it is making the SPA work in the same way that an MVC app works when you are authenticating with Azure Active Directory or some other provider. Yeah, so we don't have specific plans about that for now. It's not something. It's something that we know about, but it's not something that we are actively looking to change.
Okay.
Yeah, in the end, it's something that people can do today just by adjusting the code that we give from the templates.
Cool. Okay. Here's a question from Jose asking how many SPA templates are available in .NET that comes with Visual Studio. So this is something, as I understand, you're working towards shipping with ASP.NET Core 6. So how many do you anticipate shipping React and Angular, and then people can get other ones from the community, or what will come kind of in the box with Visual Studio? Am I asking the question right?
I think so. I'm gonna let Maria take it.
Okay. Okay. So I think what Jose is asking, can you just bring up the question again? Yeah.
Yep.
How many SPA templates are available in .NET that comes with Visual Studio? So currently, the ones that come out of the box are Angular, SPA, and React Redux. But as we mentioned a little bit earlier, what we'll be doing is that we'll actually be decoupling them. So they won't be coming with the .NET SDK. However, we are working with the Visual Studio team as well as the TypeScript and JavaScript team to actually have these templates show up in Visual Studio. So it will be a file new experience, but it will just look a little bit different. So let me bring up the issue where we talk about this in more detail as we go forward. But the question that, sorry, I know I'm blanking, but I'm trying to find the best way to present
do you want me to help?
Without over delivering, right, of what we want to do. Oh yeah, sure, take it in.
Yeah, so essentially right now our templates ship within the SDK, and that means that we get to update them when we release .NET. Yeah. So we know that Angular and React and other JavaScript frameworks update much more frequently. So to help keep the templates up to date, we want to move them to a place where we can update them more frequently. And we are working with the Visual Studio team and with other teams in .NET to make the experience for the Angular and React templates similar to what they are today, but for us to have the ability to, at the same time, update them more frequently.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. That's something where there's been this flexibility to create custom templates and rapidly installed custom project templates with .NET Core for a while, and so if this would work with that, then right, this would be something where I could just install another project template type.
Yeah.
So cool. Let me see. Here's a question. So my understanding from what you've described this as, this would integrate more easily with more advanced Webpack features. So because this is just integrating at the front end level, is that correct? I don't know what Webpack module federation is.
Yeah, so I don't know all the details about that because it's a pretty advanced Webpack concept. However, what I would say is that this would make sure that at least we don't get in your way. Because now is the Angular proxy the one that does the work for integrating with any other feature in the JavaScript ecosystem. So we are not in the picture, essentially. That's what that means. And if we're not in the picture, we cannot cause issues for you.
Okay. Let me see. There's a question. So the way that you showed the proxy working was the map fallback to file. Is that available in .NET 5?
Yes, and this is an awesome question because all the stuff that I've done that I've showed you in preview in like preview that will ship in preview 4, it's something that we're putting in the box in 6.0. But this same approach, you can copy a couple of files that we have in a repo, make the changes in your 5.0 app, and it will work the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
In fact, I did all the development in 5.0, and then like I created the packaging in 6.0 because we are shipping this in 6.0. But if you're interested, I can let me actually pull in the code for the link for the code for the actual files that we can share with people if they want to do this in 5.0 because they should be able to set it up. And I think I might also have a repo under my GitHub user that has this working with a support library I call it. Let me search for it real quick.
Okay. And if you want, you can paste that in the chat and that'll go out. That'll go out to everybody. So a few other questions I wanted to jump into just because we have some time. One, there's somebody that said, hey, they're using Squarespace and could I use this to do drag and drop development? And so what we're talking about here, this is kind of back-end custom development. But two things that we've had on the show in the past that are built on top of ASP.NET Core. I'll share my screen real quick. And there are a lot of great options available. But two that we've had on the show before. One is Orchard Project, and so that's a content management system built on ASP.NET Core. So that is available. And then one that we had just a few weeks ago is Octane, and Octane is also a modular application framework for Blazor. So that's something to look at as well. That's something where you can go through and you can create things and add them on. They're both community-run projects that are built on top of ASP.NET Core, but there's that. And then one other one, and I'll try and give my my answer on this, and then if you want to say anything else. But question here on, can you give some spoilers for .NET 6 Preview 4? And one neat thing about the way that we do .NET Core development, it's all open source. It's all in the public. So there's this themes of .NET website, and you can go through and you can snoop on all the things. So here, like I can go in, here's the ASP.NET Core roadmap, and it has all these different areas, and these are public issues that people can watch, right? So obviously some things as it gets into integrating with Visual Studio and those sorts of things and setting up repos, there's some things we're working on. But if you want to see what we're working on as a team, it's all here, which is pretty neat. And this site also, this is a Blazor website, so it's kind of fun. Do you have anything else you want to say on that? Any?
So spoilers in .NET.
Sure.
So spoiler alert, because it's all in the open. One, the minimal APIs will be shipping in Preview 4, so you can actually go and try that out. You can start playing around with all the SPAR proxy work. That's another thing shipping. What else is big? I want to give you.
When you say minimal APIs, this is this tweet that I shared earlier.
That's that tweet.
So, and people went crazy about this, and they're like, don't take away MVC, or don't. But really, the important thing here, this is another way of doing things if you want that light layer. And one thing that I know all of us have taught things, Maria, we've taught workshops together and things, and sometimes just getting somebody that's new to ASP.NET Core to have a new project running in their browser, it takes a lot of work, and you have to understand a project file and a startup and a program and like all these imports and all this stuff. And really, if you just want to say hello world, it would be nice if you can do that in under 100 lines of code. So I'm excited to see this and see how the community reacts to it and stuff. But
yeah, we got some spoilers with that tweet, so we'll see how once they try it out and they start building their apps, it'll be great to see how they're using it. Because one of the things that we found is that we've done user studies in this space, and the things that we found for people who are coming to our platform from different languages, and you're comparing us to Fast or Express, building an API using web APIs and seeing all those controllers is pretty intense for them. So we took a more minimalist approach where you still get all the things that you like with MVC without the weight of the ceremony of controllers.
Yeah. I like, and it's all there under the hood if you want it. If you want to add a controller to the project, it'll still work, right? But you don't have to start with that.
No.
And when you like think that you're feeling the pain of using the like initial approach, you can totally switch to controllers or do something else if you want. We're not taking away your controllers. We're not gonna format your drive if you try to use a controller or anything like that.
Yeah, I think even Razor Pages has been a nice simplicity, and it's sort of the thing where like I was doing, and I've taught classes on it. I've written books on MVC, and there's so much work to explain. Here's where the model here this code goes here and this goes here, and if it doesn't work, this is what you did wrong. And it's nice to be able to just say, here's a page, and if you need a controller and you need a model, do that when you need it, but you don't have to start with it every time.
They all come with their own like pros and cons. I love MVC and I don't like Razor Pages that much, and there's people on the team that feel differently. And I do understand that they both have different use cases and different places where one is better than the other and so on. And that's part of why we offer different options, is because some of them are better for some cases, and some others match other situations or solve other problems in a better way. So,
for instance, Jose says here, this seems great because if you just want to create an API for a spa, for instance, and you don't need all the Razor and MVC stuff because you're never going to serve a view up. Like you're only using it for a backend API. This is why pay all the
I mean, you still can do that with controllers. So you can create pure APIs with controllers.
Yeah.
It's more about, I think, not having to have all the ceremony around it, like startup and the controller class and so on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Well, I think we covered a lot of stuff. Is this a good place to wrap up then?
I think so. Before we go, I think I copied the link for the SPA proxy if people want to use it in 5.0 in the chat. So if you can like share that with people, that would be great.
Yep, I shared that out. So that's the GitHub link that I shared a few minutes ago. So awesome. Okay, well, this was really exciting. And as this continues to progress, it'd be great to have you back on, and we'll talk more about it. Sound good? All right. Thanks everyone for watching. I had a great time and learned a lot. I hope you did too.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you for having us. Bye.
Bye.